In Gaza City, the hunger grows deep. 500,000 souls can barely eat. Children don't know what fruit tastes like while the world watches this endless fight. UN confirms what we feared was true. Famine spreads and hope's breaking through. Starvation, destitution and death as families struggle for every breath. When the headlines scream and the world stands still, when humanity bends but refuses to break, every story matters, every voice is real. In this moment we live for tomorrow's sake. Zelensky calls for peace, but Putin won't hear. Ukraine fights on while the world shows fear. Jong Un admits his soldiers have died in a war where the truth's been pushed aside. North Korea's loss is finally revealed as Ukraine's pain remains unhealed. Diplomats warn of traps and lies while the battle rages in foreign skies. When the headlines scream and the world stands still, when humanity bends but refuses to break, every story matters, every voice is real. In this moment we live for tomorrow's sake. Trump sets his sights on San Francisco streets, promising cleanup where the Golden Gate meets. Visa holders face new screening today as policies shift in a different way. Canada drops tariff, tries to make a deal, while trade tensions make relations real. From coast to coast, the changes come as a new administration's work's begun. From Delhi streets where stray dogs roam to Colombia's violence far from home, every nation writes its daily story in the endless search for peace and glory. When tomorrow comes with its brand new light, we'll remember this day and continue the fight for truth and justice in a world that's turning. Keep the hope alive, keep the fires burning.
Welcome back to your daily news roundup. Today we're covering some of the most significant stories shaping our world right now. Let's start with what's happening in Gaza, because this is truly heartbreaking news. The UN has officially confirmed what many feared. There's now famine in Gaza City and the surrounding areas. We're talking about more than 500,000 people facing what officials are calling catastrophic conditions. When you hear stories of children who don't even know what fruit tastes like, it really puts this humanitarian crisis into perspective. The UN chief has called this a failure of humanity, and honestly, it's hard to argue with that assessment when you look at the scale of suffering. Meanwhile, the conflict in Ukraine continues to evolve in some unexpected ways. President Zelensky is pushing for fresh sanctions on Russia, arguing that Moscow is actively trying to prevent peace meetings and prolong the war. What's particularly interesting is that we're seeing some rare transparency from North Korea. Jong Un actually acknowledged losses of North Korean soldiers in Ukraine during a ceremony in Pyongyang. This is only the second time he's publicly admitted to their involvement in Russia's war, which tells us something about the scale of those losses. European Union diplomat Kaja Kallas is warning that any proposed land concessions to Russia are essentially Putin's trap, especially as Trump has given a 2-week deadline for assessing peace talks. Closer to home, we're seeing the new Trump administration making its mark on various policies. San Francisco, which had largely avoided Trump's criticism in the past, is now in his crosshairs. The president specifically mentioned cleaning up the city, extending his focus beyond places like Los Angeles and Washington. The State Department has also announced something called continuous vetting for the 55 million U.S. visa holders, though details remain pretty unclear about what this actually means in practice. In trade news, Canada is making some strategic moves by dropping certain retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. Prime Minister Mark Carney announced they'll lift tariffs on products that comply with free trade agreements, but they're keeping tariffs on steel, aluminum, and automobiles. This comes after both countries missed their self-imposed deadline for reaching a new trade agreement. There are also some fascinating smaller stories worth mentioning. In India, the Supreme Court reversed an order that would have required Delhi to round up stray dogs from the streets, giving those countless strays a reprieve after public outcry. And unfortunately, Colombia is dealing with renewed violence. Truck bombings and a helicopter attack have left at least 14 people dead, raising fears about a return to the country's more violent past. These stories remind us that while we focus on the big geopolitical shifts, there are human stories and local struggles happening everywhere that deserve our attention too.